1. I used to work for a marketing company that serviced small and medium-sized businesses across America. It was a multi-billion-dollar revenue company. The CEO was a true rags-to-riches story. He joined the company right after he got out of jail in his early 20s for a small drug charge, and worked his way up over 20 years to eventually become the CEO of the company. The CEO strongly believed that the success of the company did not come from the brilliant and intelligent minds that he hired for his executive team, but the hard work, sweat, and tears of the in-field sales reps, service reps, made sure the customer services were properly installed. Collection reps chased after the customers who fell behind on their payments, and sales managers. He would often say, "Without sales, we don't have the revenue to pay your salaries. Without customer service, customers will drop us faster than we can bill them. Without collection reps, we'd lose too many accounts due to non-payment. And without sales managers to hold it all together, we'd fall apart." And he had a rule. Every single executive team member would spend 1 full week of each quarter in the field with a sales manager, customer service rep, collections rep, or sales rep. In addition, when they're in the field, they are to submit to whoever they've been assigned to, and they may not pull rank. This rule applied to everyone, to including the CEO. I know this because the CEO personally rode along with me for 5 days in the field. He was a legit cool guy. I got a story at the end about this. So apparently we hired a new VP of marketing from a major brand that I'm sure everyone will know of. Anyway. Apparently, the first time he went in the field, the VP of marketing pulled rank on a sales manager, and the sales manager reported it directly to the CEO. A new quarter went by, and I got an email stating that the VP of marketing will be joining me in the field on such and such week. Okay, cool. Not the first time I had some higher-up come out and ride with me. But about an hour later, I got a call from my CEO. "PJ, the VP of marketing is going into the field with you." "Yes, sir, I got the email." "PJ, I picked you because when I was in the field with you, you seemed like the kind of guy who wouldn't be bullied or let someone run all over you." "Okay, well, thank you." "This VP is new to the company, and the last time he went in the field, he pulled rank. I've told him not to pull rank again, and if he does, I want you to call me as soon as you can." "I understand. Thank you." The VP meets up. Honestly, for the first 2 days, everything was fine. However, on the 3rd day, I was meeting with an existing client. This client was a difficult-to-please customer. He would always say we weren't worth the money, but I knew we were because I could see his results, and over the years, this client's business had grown a lot. Said client would beat us up over pricing. I'd stand firm, give him a 3% price increase, and offer him upgrades on top. He'd haggle me down to a 1.5% price increase, and we'd sign the contract. Now I told the VP that would happen, that it would be a long sales call, and a difficult, high, tense one, but to let me handle it. I've dealt with the client quite a bit and was well prepared. Now this meeting with the client lasted 2.5 hours, but I'll get to the point. The client wanted a discount and was threatening to go to our competitor. He wouldn't. That's when the VP spoke up and said, "I'm the VP and I'll personally give you a 15% discount on your current plan if you agree to sign a 1-year contract." The customer said, 20%. The VP said, "Split the difference, 17.5%, and we have a deal." They agreed. I was mad as hell. One thing to mention, my commissions depended on me generating more revenue, and this VP just fucked me over. We get in my car and I go, "You pulled rank. You shouldn't have done that." "I got the deal done." "Had you kept your mouth shut, I'd have gotten more money, not given 20% back." "We got the contract signed." "We gave away tens of thousands of dollars that we didn't need to." "Look, I'm the VP." I then called my CEO. He saw the name pop up in my car's Bluetooth. CEO answered. "PJ, how are you doing?" The VP pulled rank on me and gave my customer a 17.5% discount on his current plan, right as I was about to close him for more money. That's not right. Where's the VP? You're on speaker. He can hear you. Excellent. Hey, VP. Yes, sir? Tell me what happened. VP told his side of the story, which he admitted the truth, but also admitted to pulling rank and giving the customer a discount. Okay, thanks for your honesty. You're fired. Excuse me? You're fired. You have a 1-year probation clause. You're done. You don't pull rank when you're in the field. You can't do this. I just did. You were to get on the plane, come back to your office, clean it out. PJ, take Mr. VP back to his hotel and drop him off. Sure, no problem. And for the next 20 minutes, I had an awkward car ride back to my former VP's hotel. Later, in an all-hands-on meeting, the CEO made sure to talk about how if an executive is in the field and pulls rank, it's a fireable offense for the executive. And he wants all the sales reps, sales managers, customer service reps, and collection reps to know that. Side story on this CEO. The company had a data plan, which gave us 4G on our iPads, phones, and laptops. Well, the company changed the service plan and our data plan went down to only our phones, and we had to hotspot off that. They said this move would save us $80,000 a month. We had like 4,000 employees in the field. Well, 2 months later we had a conference. We had 3 conferences a year, and after the conference, everyone went to the hotel bar. That's when I approached my CEO with another sales rep and talked to him about how much of a pain in the ass it was to hotspot all our devices and how much it drained our phone batteries and blah blah. And I get that it saves money, but it also costs productivity. The CEO nodded and said, "Tell you what, in 2 weeks the CIO is supposed to go in the field. I'll have him go in the field with you, and if he agrees that it's costing our reps productivity and causing way too many workflow issues, I'll bring back 4G data to all devices." The CIO was there and said, "CIO, you're going to XYZ area and you will be riding with PJ. Pay attention to how he uses his 4G data, and if you think that we should go back to the old plan where all the devices had 4G. The CIO went in the field with me. On the 3rd day at breakfast he said, "Last night I called the CEO, and I said, yeah? And he said, I made a recommendation that we all go back to our old data plan and ensure all your devices have 4G data. It's obviously creating productivity issues, and when you look at the cost per user, it's not that great." 2. Up until about 4 years ago, I worked for a large supermarket here in the UK. Night shift replenishment. We filled and rotated the shelves at night so they could just be topped up in the day. I'm going to start off by saying that cleaning standards in my store were subpar. Anyways, we had our own designated aisles to fill. I was usually on the product aisle, fruits and vegetables. But as times called for it, I could be taken to other areas in the store that were struggling. Now every department had its own manager, and every manager is different. Our produce manager was on the ball, department clean and tidy at all times, paperwork always done, always back up for holidays, a tight ship. Dairy manager, on the other hand, couldn't organize a piss-up in a brewery. One of the things he was very slack on was cleaning. On the surface, he would have the shelves cleaned, but behind the stock was a different story. The shelves were slanted, so you can only see the back of the chiller if you get down and look directly up behind the area with no stock, so pretty much 100% hidden. So one night, dairy is struggling again, due to the fact that the area is run by a chimp that the company shaved and threw a uniform on. I get sent over his produce as ahead of schedule. Yogurt aisle, specifically. It's not difficult work, but as I'm filling those shelves, I get a nice view of all the mold on the back of the chillers. The chillers blow cold air from the back, so as I'm reaching my arms in, I'm short with short arms. I get a nice face full of moldy-smelling air the whole damn night, and again the next night. Next 3, I'm sick as a dog. Can't stop vomiting, amongst other things. This goes on for 3 more nights into my weekend. I get back, and I have to have my meeting with the night manager and dairy manager. Mine was on holiday. They're not happy with my absence. This was my second period in a year. Now, I had been at this store for 5 years, and these 2 absences were the only sickness I'd had off. I'm a bit defensive, and I point out the fact that I'd basically been working in a biohazard area for 2 days. I told them about the mold blowing in my face for 2 nights, which I also pointed out to the dairy manager on day 1 and was dismissed. Not good enough. Apparently, I'm only going off sick because I know the usual yogurt guy is always going sick, and I'm trying to take advantage. They never did connect those dots. After all this, the outcome was a written warning. They have to send you out the room before giving you a warning to discuss, as per procedure. Thin walls, I could hear them.
He could appeal based on the moldy chillers. Here's evidence. Just get him on the clean-as-you-go policy.
And that's what they did. They said if the chillers were dirty, it's my responsibility, as the policy is technically clean as you go. If you see a mess, you clean it. End of. I said that's madness. There's like 7 years of build-up there. The whole aisle has it. Didn't matter. That's the policy. Fine. So be it then. Anyway, that night I'm back on yogurts. Usual guy is actually back in, but I guess this was now some sort of weird extra punishment. But at least I'm now fully aware of that damn clean-as-you-go policy. Another thing I haven't mentioned is not just how useless the dairy manager is, but how lazy he is. This also applies to the night manager and grocery manager, who would spend the night chilling outside smoking, barely popping in to check on things. The produce manager was usually left to handle any issues, and he was actually respectably professional. But he's on holiday this night. Yogurts is at the back of the store, smoking shelter at the front. I know I'm alone all night long, and I have a lot to clean. First things first, have to get to the back of the chillers. All this stock is in the way. Better take it off. So all the stock piled onto cages and run into the chiller. 9 cages total. Only took me a couple of hours, as it's 10 times quicker to take it off, as it is to put out. The shelves are still in the way. Better take them down. To be honest, the back edge on them all needs cleaning too, so all the shelves unhinged and dismantled. They just lift off and pull out. Get them all on a couple of cages and run them into the warehouse so I can spray them down in the cleaning area. This took longer than expected, as some of that black mold was incredibly stubborn. Better leave them here to dry. Back to the aisle, can finally start on the backs of these chillers. Again, just like the shelves, super hard to get off. It took me the rest of the night to get one side cleaned. The other, though, terribly filthy. So that's my night ended. Nothing on the shelves. Actually, not even any shelves. And the managers had no idea. A few people asked me what I was doing at night. I just told them. The night manager said I'd have to clean this. Nobody informed them. Morning comes, 6 a.m. The store manager comes in. He likes to walk the aisles first thing with the night managers. I'm just doing my shopping at this point, next to the yogurts. He arrives. I've never heard him swear before.
What the fuck? The night managers didn't have anything to say? They were supposed to run this place through the night? And they didn't even know a whole aisle had basically gone missing?
He tore into them right there. Eventually, one of them mentioned they had seen me shopping. The store manager demanded someone grab me. He wants an explanation as to why one of his biggest selling aisles had vanished into oblivion. I round the corner.
What the hell have you done?
I was told I had to clean this.
Who told you?
Night manager and dairy manager. They interjected.
We did not.
I have the notes from my attendance interview, signed by both of you, stating that I need to clean as I go.
Well, this isn't cleaning as you go.
Dismantling the aisle was the only way I had to get to the mold. That's when the store manager took a closer look at the back of those chillers. Not just a dark discoloration like he'd assumed with his bad eyesight. Moldy. He went off again and pulled them both into the warehouse for round 2. Ding, 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 ding. Cleaning the chillers is night manager's responsibility. This was inexcusable. I went back to shopping. Came in the next night to hear the fallout. They were both written up. The store manager made them stay and clean the other chiller wall, then put all the shelves back up, then put all the stock back out, and the delivery that was also unworked from the night. All in all, 7 hours past shift end, and they still had to come in that night. I never saw any retaliation. I heard that was specifically from the store manager, not because he's a good guy, but because it wasn't worth it from a legal and career perspective. I had followed instructions, and there are some pretty rigid labor laws and protections here, not to mention a strong union. They didn't want head office to get wind of how filthy they had allowed a food chiller to get, opening up the company to all manner of fines. Clean as you go. Three. So this happened twice at 2 different companies. When I did my first internship, I was supposed to just help another guy do his tasks and launch a new pilot project. However, a couple of months into it, he wasn't that interested in the project or the position overall, so he just gave me the project to manage. It was quite technical, and it required learning how to use a platform with several functionalities and parameters to keep track of. By then, I was much more experienced using it than he was, so I just kept managing the project by myself. 2 months before my internship ended, the guy left the position and my manager gave me his tasks on top of the project, which I did because he had taught me how to do them. By then, I thought I was irreplaceable enough that my manager would just hire me, and 1 month before the internship ended, I asked her if she was planning on hiring me. She told me she wasn't, because I didn't have my master's yet. So she couldn't hire me. I told her I could do everything that was required. Why did I have to have a master's? She just told me she wouldn't hire me. Fine. I asked her if she was planning on hiring someone soon so I could teach them the tasks and the project. She basically dismissed me and told me I didn't need 1 month to train the next person. A few days later, I got another internship that would start almost right after this one ended, and she still hadn't hired anyone new. The Monday of my last week, the new person comes in and my manager asks me to teach her what she should do and gradually hand over my tasks. I gladly comply, and the new girl immediately understands that the project, which by then had grown, and the other tasks were too complicated and technical, and couldn't be taught in 1 week. She talks to her manager and she dismisses us. I leave the internship and get a call the following week from my manager asking me if I could stay 1 more month, paid, just to teach the new girl. I say I can't. She offers to hire me. I say I don't want it. The salary was lower than my new internship and I was fed up with her. A few weeks later I learned that the new girl had quit and that the project had been cancelled, and my ex-manager had been put on a career re-evaluation program, aka she was probably going to get demoted. On my next internship, something similar happens. I was supposed to just help a girl with the launch of a new project. A few weeks later our team gets overloaded with work, and she asks me to take over completely. I comply and keep managing the project. By then I was starting my master's and was interested in data management, analytics, etc. So I start helping the few guys in our team that do those things as well. Halfway through the internship I was managing the project, which had also grown to include a new sub-project, and was doing all of its reporting and helping some other people as well. My manager tells me he is planning on hiring me, so I keep working as hard as I can. However, 2 months before my internship ends, our team is fused with another, and we get a new director. She has a clear bias for the other team, which she used to manage, and that team also has an intern they want to hire, but they can only hire one of us. She decides on the other one. Fine. I tell them to start looking for a new intern to replace me so I can train them, and she says she'll look into it. 1 month until my internship ends, and nothing. I get a new job lined up as a consultant at the same company, and my manager, poor guy, is doing everything he can to keep me. Our director keeps refusing, and 2 weeks before the end she hires a new intern. I start training him, but it's too technical, and by then I was doing things for other members of the team, so I had to train them in those as well. I leave the team, but since I'm still at the same company as a consultant, they can still reach me through Teams. The week after I leave, my ex-director messages me and asks me if I can spend the afternoon training the new intern. I say sure, if you're willing to pay my company's rate. She says she can't because she doesn't have the budget. Well then, isn't that too bad? I still get messages from the new intern from time to time, asking me for help, and I help him though. Four. My work environment is less an environment and more so a conglomeration of duct tape, spit, and cursing. I managed, among many things, a set of rentals, accounts receivable, and customer database analysis. Essentially, our company's bus factor was far too low. Another important bit that I handled were various legal documents that the state requires meticulous processes to be followed, and allows for a digital or physical paper trail. I opted for digital. Now, my boss kindly provided me a Pentium 4 dual-core computer that he found at the bargain warehouse for about $40. I had the most sophisticated workstation in the business for context. This wasn't quite enough for database management and analytical software to boot up. More or less a dataset, so I called up our IT guy, who works for the boss's friend's sister-in-law's business, 200 miles away. I go, "Hey, Tim, I need to add my personal laptop to the company network. Can you make that happen?" "Sure. I'll be down in that location in a week or two. Can it wait?" "That's perfect, Tim." So Tim shows up. We get the boss to rubber stamp that all is okay, and I have remote access to the servers and some annoying corporate mandated securities on my laptop. Tim's corporate, my boss doesn't know a computer from a VCR. Which is no big deal, they stay out of the way. We didn't have anything like a software policy either. I think some computers had Office 2007 installed, but that's clunky and makes data transfer complicated. It's the 20-teens, there's no need for that. I do all of my work on a Google Drive account tied to my work email. This is great because I can hotspot my workstation to wherever the boss wants me today. Sometimes he likes to pretend I'm a secretary and throws me in his office. Sometimes he thinks I'm a technician and puts me at a station with no computer. Whatever, data is transient. Anyways, things have been tense recently. I've moved almost all of my job to digital, and the boss think that means I don't work anymore. Obviously, an office monkey with no papers is an office monkey with not enough work. Now, he wasn't exactly wrong. I had been automating things and was doing the job of about 6 people. How can I do the job of 6 people without the boss knowing? Easy. He likes to manage by the seat of his pants. One day he fired a maintenance person and just rolled that job into the receptionist, driver, and technician jobs. One day he decided that the sales team could handle marketing. Surely buying a single $2,000 camera is cheaper than having a professional do shoots each week. Besides, guerrilla handycam sales pitches are in vogue. It'll be great. Moving on. After 2 years of shuffling, I had accumulated a large amount of jobs, many of them tedious. And with the right tools made by me at home on my personal laptop that happens to be able to connect to the network, a good 4-hour job can be completed with about 10 minutes of sorting and parsing data. So the time comes, we all know it's coming. One of the suits tipped me off that the particular suit whose payroll is wasted on chumps like me had propositioned the boss that a pair of receptionists can do the work I do, for cheaper. Just hire some college kids, work 'em each 18 hours a week, it'll be grand. Knowing that, I backed up everything to my personal Google Drive account, but of course did not delete anything from the company-owned one. Like I said, the state had a vested interest in these processes, and I knew in my heart of hearts that the company couldn't be trusted to maintain records. I didn't want to be on the hook for that in 6 years, so I kept a copy. I figured it would go smoothly. I'm called to the big office for a meeting. There's too many suits. My supervisor gives me some side-eye. It's not a surprise. I carefully make sure to click log out of all locations on my Google account and tuck my laptop into my car before heading upstairs. The meeting starts with the boss saying, "Well, kiddo." Yes, he calls me kiddo. Since I'm not 60 years old, I'm obviously a child. "Well, kiddo, I'm sad to say that I was wrong. I shouldn't have hired you. You're fired." Well, that was blunt and rude. So I stand up, extend my hand across the table, and prepare to thank him for the last few years. "As a fast, sit down. We have things to discuss." What? I sit down for a moment in brief shock. The adrenaline starts to pump and my fingertips are cold. Boss begins to tell me all of the things they need from me. Contacts, account statuses, explanation of discrepancies on AR accounts, documentation for state interests, all things that as his competent employee I could have printed and had sitting on his desk in moments. I decide to comply with him, starting the meeting by saying I'm fired. Where I live, either of us can stop the employment situation for any reason. He had legally fired me. I counter him, "Well, boss, I don't feel particularly comfortable accessing your network since I'm not an employee." He exploded. Think of Karen, a millionaire Karen with little brother syndrome, who wants to be John Wayne but looks a bit too much like Smokey the Bear's fat cousin to get the role. His explosion was violent, spit everywhere. I'll save you the details of how he stalked me to my car and demanded the employees form a barrier. He called me a few times. They went to voicemail as I drove to a public Wi-Fi hotspot. I carefully removed my laptop from their network. I drove home, unpacked my work lunch. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. He probably had a receptionist being paid minimum wage to hit the redial button. Eventually, I answered a call from his cell phone. He makes some demands. I very flippantly offered to come to work for him for 10 times my rate. He yells some more. An hour later, he's pounding on my door. I don't want to deal with that. I know he carries a loaded pistol in his car. Again, cowboy, emphasis on the boy. The cops escort him away, and I email a copy of my security footage to the responding officer. He thanks me. The company doesn't flounder, of course. Boss man is a millionaire, and has been very carefully losing tens of thousands of dollars a year while operating his business. He may have lost some more in the interim, but that's not my concern. My concern is collecting my unemployment. And wouldn't you know, I was fired a few days before fall college class selection begins. I decided to take a few master-level classes. I've had my BA for a while. Might as well get some more school in on the boss's dime. Classes go well, and I coast through spring semester by tapping into a bit of savings. And wouldn't you know it, the pandemic happens. And my unemployment benefits are extended. Guess I'll take some summer classes. And those extended benefits were at 3 times the base unemployment rate. Gee whiz, guess I can take a full set of fall classes too. And then the state extended it for another 3 months at double the base. I have winter session sign-up date marked on my calendar. The boss man calls me this morning. I coyly thank him for firing me without cause a year ago, and let him know I made the dean's list last semester. He tells me to fuck off. He called to take me up on my deal. He'll hire me at 5 times my rate. To give him some information, I remind him, wasn't the deal 10 times my rate?
Fuck you, 5 times is too much, and I only need you for an afternoon.
Well, I've been thinking about it. My unemployment benefits run out in a week or 2, so I'll do it. I'll contract you. I want 20 times what I was making, 40 hours minimum, paid in advance, and the written scope of work. I'm only doing the work you say you need done during negotiations.
Fuck you, I'll give you 5 times in a day of work and that's final.
No thanks, boss. I have to get back to the classes you're paying for, thanks again. I hang up. He calls back an hour later, just moments before I started writing this, actually. It's actually his daughter, the comptroller of the company. She says she spoke some reason to the boss. He'll hire me at 20 times my rate for 40 hours of work, half paid up front. Actually, it was 100% up front, not half. Fine. She starts telling me what needs done. Turns out they're failing a state audit quite badly, like, boss is not a millionaire if this isn't fixed kind of badly. They have all the information they need, of course. It's on my company email account's Google Drive. I'm not going to tell them this. Once he pays me for half a year's work, I'll gladly spend the hour or so time it takes to transfer all of the data he needs to a flash drive, wait until Monday of next week, and then hand it to his receptionist. Really, the man couldn't have been nicer. He's already covered me going to college full-time for over a year, and is about to cover another 2 semesters. I should buy him a cake. Update. I got a call. They seem to have decided that the daughter/comptroller would be the best point of contact, which is fine with me. We got along fine. She has a nice kid that used to run around the office. It seems like the bulk of the issue is the information that they can't find. That's roughly 0 work. But since they can't find that information at all, auditors are nitpicking very fine details that my replacements have bungled up. From the way she told it, it sounds like a nightmare. The literal end of times. Honestly, it sounds like a solid day of work running through their server with some of my tools. Maybe 2 days. She wants me to start ASAP while they finalize writing up a contract. I gave a surprised of a chuckle and said no dice, contract first. And I'll have them pass the audit perfectly, like I always used to.
But there's a deadline.
I work fast.
You don't understand. We only have until the end of the month. This needs started on today.
I work fast, and it sounds like you should hire someone who knows how to write contracts fast too.
Whatever, if you don't fix this, You know what, never mind. I'll email you something in the morning.
Sounds like a plan. Good night. 5. So a while back, an ex-boyfriend and I had gone on a camping trip. X decided we should travel up to the fire watchtower to show me an incredible view, and once there, we met a pretty awesome older ranger. We got to talking with the guy about life in general, and he mentions how he used to do search and rescue all over for 15 plus years. He told us how, more often than not, it would turn into a body retrieval. The floaters were always the worst, he said, then proceeds to tell us this gem back when he was a team leader. The story. Search and rescue was out looking for a man who'd gotten separated from his party. Apparently he'd gotten tired due to not being in the best of shape. A plus-sized guy, as Ranger says, and had decided to head back to the cars alone, only to get lost along the way. They shouldn't have let him go back alone, but stupid is as stupid does. Ranger's search and rescue team has been called in, and it had been well over a week, closer to 2. At this point, they were 100% positive they were going in for retrieval. Ranger and his team are headed out again, when the bosses let him know that he'll be having some guy, we'll call him Ken, heading out with them. If I remember correctly, Ken was there to do an evaluation of the team, but again, it's been a while since I've heard this story. As soon as Ranger hears Ken's name, he knows he's going to be a pain in the assets. The guy has a reputation for being a self-inflated know-it-all. Ken joins up with the team and is bragging about how he's been in the military and knows all about search and rescue, and how he'll be watching them closely to make sure they do their jobs right, blah, blah, blah. Having seen the type before, Ranger grits his teeth and keeps his mouth shut, while he and the team begin the search. Ken is driving the whole team crazy with his holier-than-thou routine when they eventually get the call. The missing guy has been located by another team, and they're gonna need some assistance. Ranger and Co. met up with the other team side by side of a river with rapids. From the looks of things, the lost guy had fallen in upstream, drowned, and traveled downstream until his body got caught up in the branches of a fallen log. Ranger and the other team leader are evaluating the situation, since it's in a difficult spot for retrieval. Ranger realizes that if they can dislodge the body from the branches, there's enough of a drop that the rushing water may actually cause the body to pop up onto the bank where the teams are standing. It's not going to be pretty, but it's really their only option. Ranger goes down to the team and tells them they'll need to move as to avoid the body just in case. Everyone starts moving except, you guessed it, Ken. Ken scoffs and tells Ranger there's no way that'll happen. Ranger tells Ken, "It may not, but you really need to move just in case." Tries everything to get Ken to move, arguing back and forth until Ken snaps and says,
Just do your job!
"Okay." Ranger and team lead start work and, well, the body does exactly what Ranger predicts. Goes down and pops up like a raft full of air and lands directly on top of Ken. Knocks him flat on his back. Ken starts screaming. Bloated, dead body is on top of Ken, and the rescue teams rush in to get it off. Now, if you don't know what happens to a body that's been submerged in water for close to 2 weeks, well, it's not pretty. Basically, the meat starts to separate from the bone and gets kind of, yeah, ew. So the rescuers are basically pulling pieces of the body off of Ken, unable to get it all in one movement while Ken is screaming in sheer panic terror. They finally get him off Ken, who is now severely traumatized. Ken never worked with another search and rescue team again. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge is Ice Cream, number 55. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And boo, hiss, and various grumpy words to the people who thought it was a good idea to let off fireworks in the middle of my recording session. 10:30 at night. They're letting off fireworks, which I still don't know where they're getting them from. I was grumpy, let's just put it that way. I'm still a little grumpy about it. They seem to have gone quiet for the moment, so maybe they've run out for the night. They shouldn't even be able to get them at this time of year, but there we go. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.